passive-aggressive messages are rarely loud. They don't insult you directly. They don't start arguments. They don't raise their voice. They don't announce themselves. They sit in the middle. They sound polite. They look reasonable. They hide behind normal language. But something about them feels off. If you've ever read a message and paused longer than you meant to, if you've ever reread a sentence that technically said nothing wrong, if you've ever felt tension without knowing why, this is for you. Because passive-aggressive communication isn't about what's said. It's about what's avoided. Passive-aggressive messages happen when someone wants to express frustration, resentment, disappointment, or control, but doesn't feel safe saying it directly. Not because they're calm, not because they're thoughtful, but because direct communication requires ownership. It requires vulnerability. It requires the risk of being disagreed with. So instead of honesty, they send signals. They imply instead of asking. They hint instead of stating. They soften language while sharpening intent. They use tone instead of truth. These messages exist to release emotion without taking responsibility for it. That's why they're so confusing to receive. Your body reacts before your mind understands. You feel tension before you can name a reason. When you receive a passive-aggressive message, your focus shifts. You stop thinking about the conversation. You start thinking about yourself. You replay what you sent. You analyze your wording. You question your tone. You wonder if you crossed a line. You wonder if you missed something obvious. Nothing was said directly. But now your nervous system is activated. That reaction isn't random. It's the effect of unclear communication. Passive-aggressive messages often sound harmless. They hide behind phrases like, "just checking in." "No worries. It's fine. I guess that works. Do whatever you want." On the surface, these messages appear neutral. There's no accusation. There's no request. There's no clear problem. But underneath, something is being withheld. What's being withheld is honesty. What's being withheld is clarity. What's being withheld is responsibility. These messages don't open dialogue. They create tension. They create pressure. They force the other person to interpret meaning. Instead of responding to information, passive-aggressive communication shows up everywhere. It's not limited to texting. It appears in emails. It appears in direct messages. It appears in workplace communication. Anywhere people feel pressure to stay polite, but still want leverage. In emails, it sounds professional. In texts, it sounds casual. In DMS, it sounds indirect. Different formats, same pattern, same psychology. One of the reasons passive-aggressive messages feel so draining is because they create emotional labor. You're left holding unanswered questions. Am I supposed to respond? Am I supposed to apologize? Did I do something wrong? Is there an expectation I'm missing? Am I being evaluated right now? Passive-aggressive communication quietly shifts responsibility to you. To resolve something that was never clearly stated. Nothing was said outright, but now you're responsible for managing the tension. That's the control. That's the power move. Most people respond in ways that make it worse. They over-explain. They apologize prematurely. They defend themselves. They try to smooth things over. They respond to the emotion they feel instead of the words they received. They try to fix a problem that was never actually named. That response keeps the cycle alive. Passive aggression survives when someone else carries the emotional weight. A grounded response does not chase tone. It does not argue with implication. It does not decode subtext. It responds only to what is actually written, not what you imagine, not what you fear, not what you feel pressured to manage. Short, neutral, clear, understood. Sounds good. Let me know if there's a concern. This isn't dismissive. This isn't cold. It's precise. You're not ignoring the message. You're refusing to participate in communication that avoids honesty. Passive-aggressive communication thrives in ambiguity. It needs uncertainty to survive. It needs interpretation. It needs emotional engagement. Clarity removes its leverage. When you respond cleanly, there's nowhere for the tension to land. No hook, no reaction, no escalation. The goal isn't to confront every message. The goal isn't to correct people. The goal isn't to teach lessons. The goal is to protect your clarity, to keep communication grounded in what is actually being said, not what you're being pressured to feel. Before responding, pause. Read the words. Only the words, not the tone you imagine, not the meaning you fear, not the emotion you fee.